everybody. This is Jessie of Thought Bubble with Jay, and here we are again for another episode of the Wednesday Creative Check In. So, I am excited for today's episode. And I know I always say that every time I am starting out a new episode, but there's always something to learn from the guests that I have on the show. And today is not different from the other shows that I've done with the creative or with an artist. This in particular, she just celebrated her birthday on the 13th, and I'm just excited to chat with her. She's based in Belgium, so woohoo, we're going international. And I met her online, and I love her artwork and her insights. If you read her captions, there's just so much in there that you can learn from. So I figured that might as well have her on the show, get her on board, and we can talk about Instagram engagement. It's something that people, I think, whether you're a creative, an artist, or any other niche, right, in Instagram, people really struggle with engagement. People are always blaming it with algorithms, but no one seems to really understand what the algorithm is all about. But is it really important? Do we really need to pay attention to algorithm, or is it really about engagement and meaningful social interaction? So we're going to find out more about that. But without further ado, please welcome to the show, Ali of Pink Artini. Hey, Ali.
Hi, Jessie. Hi, everybody. It's nice to be here. And oh my God, I'm happy I'm wearing blush today because everything you just said made me really red.
But yeah, I mean, that's true, right? I mean, I love reading your captions and the way that you
Thank
start
you.
conversations within our community. That is more than impressive. It's thought provoking, and you know me, I love conversations. I love taking
Same.
people into the comment section and talk. It's all about collaboration, I believe, and that's exactly what we're doing right now. So, Ali, I know a lot of people know about your artwork, and this is actually the first time I'm seeing your face. So you finally put a face onto the name or on the IG handler. But can you tell us a little bit more about yourself as an artist? What you do, what did you do on your birthday? And what have you been doing? What have you been up to? I know you just opened your Etsy shop. So tell us anything about you as an artist and anything that you do outside of being Pinkertini.
You guys know my name is Alexandra, but I go by Ali because it's just sweeter and shorter. And yeah, I started art because I didn't have anything to fill my time with. And it started like 2 years ago. And I
Mhm.
never stopped. And I really, really enjoy it. And then Instagram came like a year ago, and there's a beautiful community on there. And I really, I really feel good being at the center of it, but not really in the spotlight. So
Mhm.
that really is a comfortable position for me. Um, yeah, I'm thinking about doing things, taking things more seriously, but I'm not. I'm still in the hobbyist zone at the moment.
Mhm.
I'm having fun. And for my birthday, I did absolutely nothing, which is my favorite thing to do.
That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah, because I'm the type of person that is too much on go, 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 go mode. So then
Oh, okay.
sometimes I need to take a break, and it feels so good when I finally push the break, so to say,
Mhm.
because it helps me gather all those experiences and see if I learned anything from them. And that's
Mhm.
basically me. I love to learn. That's why I'm here.
Same here. So you started 2 years ago, just 2 years ago.
Yeah. In fact, it's a funny story.
You share, do tell.
It is a bit gruesome. So just so people know, I'm gonna talk about limbs that have been separated from their body.
Okay.
So if
Break
that's
the
a trigger
bubble.
for you, you can stop for a few seconds. I actually cut a little piece of my index finger. You can't see it very well on camera.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's covered by the nail now.
Okay.
And it was on my right hand. I wasn't able to do anything because if it's
Mhm.
your right hand, it's your dominant hand, you can't do anything, not even open a bag of chips, for example. So I was really sitting at home for, I don't know, 2 3 weeks, nothing to do.
Uh-huh.
I was in Belgium where I don't have a lot of friends and family. And yeah, I had the sketchbook somewhere and I said, I want to draw. But when you apply pressure to the paper, it hurts. So I
Okay.
needed something that was not requiring a lot of pressure. And I said, some watercolor. And I called my boyfriend and I said, can you go by the art store later on and just pick up the cheapest watercolor set that you can find?
Mhm.
And he brought it and some paper and it went well. And then the idea was, can I create something that I can really use later on? Like make some cards maybe.
Mhm.
I had this plan of participating to a big event organized in Belgium for charity. So
Wow.
in Belgium, it's called the Warmste Week, which
Uh-huh.
means the warmest week of the year, and it's in December. And everybody that is creative in any kind of way, they create. Uh, for me, it was cards. For someone else, they made tea. Someone else made hats. Someone else made mittens. All
Oh.
kinds of stuff, and you sell it, and you all donate. You donate all the money, and there's a radio that is
Uh-huh.
responsible for the charity, and
Okay.
every year they gather all the money and they donate it to the charity of your choice. For me, the first year it was Kankerfonds, which is helping patients that struggle with cancer,
Mm.
and last year it was Alzheimer.
Wow.
So that was the sole purpose of the first year of creating artwork.
Mhm.
Second year it was the same, and this year I'm trying to discover a bit about myself. I'm still gonna do the charity thing in
Yeah.
December,
Yeah.
but it's a bit more. I want to see how much I can learn and how much of this can I can apply to myself as a human being.
I love it, Ali. I didn't know anything about that. I'm not sure if I've read it, but or you've talked about it on your Instagram.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. Last year
exactly.
it was very out in the open. I was actually posting every day
Mhm.
the designs of the cars that I made,
Mhm.
and it sold out in like 4 days. Everything was gone. I was very happy of that.
Mm.
And in fact, the charity even contacted me like, you donated a lot of money and you're one person, because usually people group
Yeah,
together. And since
yeah.
then, they're like, are you a philanthropist or something? Like, what's the deal? I'm like, no, guys, I just did that at the end of the year. And usually it's through colleagues at work
Mhm.
and members of my boyfriend's family
Mhm.
or his friends.
Mhm.
They get interested, and yeah, of course they want to support. They know very well the event. Some
Yeah.
of them even we do like exchanges. Some of them create something, and okay, we see how we can help each other.
Mhm.
And yeah, that's basically it. And I'm gonna do it again this year. Some of the people on Instagram know about it, but there's many new faces, so to say. So of
Yeah.
course you're not gonna know about it. It's
Yeah.
okay. It's beginning of December. That's when it becomes more
Mhm.
and more active.
Wow. I mean, doing art and finding joy in creating, that's one thing. But for a cause, that is very noble of you to do that, Ali. And that just proves to show how where creativity can take you and how it can
Yes.
impact people. And that's what I love about the community as well. And I know that you see that too because you use and considering that you just started 2 years ago and wow and it's now you're helping out this area this community of people who are helping out other people through arts. That is just amazing. And so I know that you've been. Do you paint daily?
That's a good question. I actually don't,
Uh-huh.
but I try to reserve at least 20 minutes for creativity every day. If it's
Wow.
painting, if it's sketching, if it's I'm now playing a bit with paper and like making handmade paper.
I would love
Um,
to learn
I
that.
want to try. I would love to try bookbinding. So I'm thinking, browsing ideas.
Mhm.
It's not always possible. Like
Mhm.
last year, I decided to give myself the time to paint because the pandemic made it so much more easy.
Yeah, true.
Unfortunately, that's the truth. Um, but there are days where having those 20 minutes in front of your blank paper can be
Mhm.
challenging if you're tired, if you have other things
Yeah,
on your mind.
yeah.
And what I learned is if you still do it and if you still push through, sometimes magical moments do happen. You get inspiration all of a sudden, and instead of those 20 minutes, you spend 2 hours and you look at your work and you're like, damn, I'm happy I decided to do those 20 minutes today. And
So
of course, there's the opposite too, but
yeah, but I like it when you're saying, because when you were telling it, I was looking at your face like just really, you're having fun, and there's this
yes,
glow in your eyes when you were saying that you started in a lot of minutes, but then it turned into hours because you're in the zone and you love what you're doing. And I guess it's the
definitely.
beauty of art, and what it does to us. So Ali, let me just go back a little bit and tell me about your IG handler.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, that's
interested.
another funny story.
Do tell.
Well, when I created my Instagram account, it was mainly just to, kind of get some exposure and show people what I was making.
Yeah.
And then it became about the people that I was getting to know, because I'm so happy that there is someone out there that has already tried some kind of supply or
Yeah. Yeah.
has had the experience with some technique, because I can go and ask them, so how was that for you? And
True.
they are so open about sharing those ideas. But my first handle was watercolor by Ali, super simple, super
That's
sweet.
simple. Yeah.
But a lot of people were reading it differently, like watercolor by Ali.
It's true. It's true. Yeah.
Even my own sister, she called me like, "What the hell is your IG handle?" I don't understand the damn thing, what it's supposed to mean. And I'm like, "Okay, I'm gonna explain to you. Water and color are not two separate words; they are only one, and it means aquarelle." So,
Okay. Okay.
so, and then I realized it was kind of long. I kind of wanted to change it, and I dwelled on the idea for a long time, because with me, I can be a bit impulsive. So sometimes I need to take the time to see
Hmm.
if an idea I had, half a month ago is still, it's still, is it still haunting me? And
Yeah.
it was. So I started drafting some a a board with pins, basically with inspiration,
Mhm.
and I was putting there keywords that were representative of my work. I think I still have somewhere all the
Huh.
post-its and all the lists I
Yeah.
made. I wanted the name that was something that I could be proud of 10 years from now.
Hmm.
And I wanted something that was representative of what I was doing. So pretty easy to figure out that I'm a creative from the name, because it's a pink and there's an artini in there. Nartini, it's like a martini but with water, it's alcohol free.
Okay. Okay. That makes sense. That makes sense.
And I'm very much in love with the band Pink Martini, if you know them.
I'm not familiar, but I will.
They're really great.
Out.
Their music is they're basically a group of creatives, each from a different country, very different countries, very different cultures,
Uh-huh.
and they all have their own style. So when they come together, they can do jazz, they can do soul, they can do samba, they can do everything you can imagine, and they're very talented. All of them, they play instruments, they can sing, they're amazing, and they're really I really look up to them and their way of bringing up a new sound, basically.
Mhm.
And funny thing is, pink opera from Sennelier was the one color that I kept on using, which was very surprising to me, because I'm more of an earth tone, kind of person, more
That
muted
is such
colors, and
an alley
the
for the
pink was
name.
going off my palette like so fast, and I said, okay, there's something in this, and that's how the name basically was created.
Okay, that is a very interesting story, given that you love earth tones, and
Yeah.
I know that you love earth tones, and then your IG handler is pink Artini. It's like, okay, now that's a disconnect. But hearing your story now, that makes sense. Okay,
Yeah, and there are, like, for example, the shirt that I'm wearing now is pink,
it's
but
pink.
it's a muted kind of pink. It's
Yeah,
not really the bonbon pink, so to say.
that's true. Okay, so Ali, have you always been creative as a kid?
Yes, but I think my parents, both of them, they saw in me something different. They pushed me towards sports,
Uh huh.
and towards more realistic kind of sciences, real sciences such as math and physics. I actually have a sort of, I won the Olympics at physics.
Really?
Yeah.
I
Yeah, well,
I think
Romania, where I'm from, is actually a big country, so they had like a regional Olympics. So don't think I won the Olympics in the world. No, not at all.
okay.
But it was still something that I was proud of. But I didn't. It didn't really click well with me. So later on in life, when I could make my own choices,
Yeah,
because when you're a kid, what are you gonna do? You're not gonna fight with your mom because you don't even
exactly.
know exactly
That's
what
true.
is out there.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
later on, I went for things that were more related to human studies. So, for
Mhm.
example, I'm my major is in sociology, so I really love that. I still read about it because it really feeds my soul and my mind.
Yeah. So yeah, I was
So
actually about to ask if you were born and raised in Belgium, but then now that you mentioned that you're from Romania, how long have you been
no,
in Belgium?
3 years and a half actually, and
Oh,
before
okay.
that I was in Spain for 2 years.
I love Spain.
Um,
I love
I
Spain.
adore Spain. I would move there in the blink of an eye, but unfortunately, I love my boyfriend a lot, and he's here.
Okay, love
And
wins.
also, the job market there is not great. Unfortunately, it
Yeah.
pains me to say that, but
Mhm.
it's not great. I needed a bit more experience in order to get a good
Mhm.
job in my domain. So I moved here with the idea of moving back. It never happened.
Well, maybe who knows, right? Someday. So,
When we retire,
Ali,
yes.
when you retire, we're in Spain, by the way.
Barcelona.
I love Barcelona. I went to Barcelona and Madrid just for a couple of days, and I love the city.
Yeah, the vibe of Barcelona is very,
Barcelona is
it's an alive city,
yeah.
very colorful, all kinds of people. And what I love most about it is that it actually has a sort of Nordic way of functioning. So if you look at their transportation, the way the city is
Yes,
organized, I
very nice.
love that
Yeah.
very much.
So yeah, hopefully, someday. Okay. So Ali, I know that, at the intro of this podcast and behind the scenes we've talked about Instagram engagement. And I know that you've been doing a lot of that um on Instagram and partnering and collaborating with other artists as well. Like what I said earlier at the intro, I love looking at your post and then the conversations within the comment section. It's just that's exactly what we need. There are a lot of things that are as artists, there isn't really a lot of resources to talk about, the struggles and the pains of um, promoting the brand of a creative. Seems to be a common theme from the conversations, like how do you increase engagement, how do you
Mhm.
promote your brand, and eventually how to sell. And I would like us to talk about it a little bit more and ask you, when we talk about engagement, I mean, is it safe to say that it's really one of the pain points? I mean, from the conversations that you've had with other artists, do you think it's one of the major pain points that artists or creatives go through, especially not just in Instagram, but in social media as a whole?
Yeah, definitely it is a pain point. And there's one thing that I think everybody needs to get a clear idea of, which is the fact that being an artist
Hmm.
and being a content creator, those are two very different dimensions. I
Yes.
mean, if you look at, for example, Picasso, he was a very celebrated artist, but
Yeah.
imagine him having to put his art on Instagram.
On
Or
Instagram.
even worse, Van Gogh, like the guy would have lost it by now, because he was never celebrated during his lifetime.
Exactly.
So you need to look at it from a different perspective. If you're an
Mhm.
artist and you want to sell your work through social media, which, by the way, it's not the only channel you can sell your art
That's
through,
true. Mhm.
um, you have to think about it from a social media perspective. I know that's a bit repetitive, but you need to think about, what do people want to see? What kind of people do I want to attract? What kind of audience will I be getting here? And how do I make sure that they stay and enjoy my posts? Because it's no longer just about art, it's about what you are posting, what you're putting it out there in the world.
Exactly. I think
um,
one of the conversations or in the chat groups that I was in, it's there was a question of, you already painted your art. It's beautiful, right? But to create a content for it, and how it will serve your audience is an entirely different thing. And you're absolutely right. Art and content creation are two different things. So how do you merge those two together in order to abide with, quote unquote, the social media method of engagement and promoting your art and eventually selling it? And I do agree as well with what you see, that there are different channels where you can sell your art. But for the sake of discussion, and let's say we'll focus on Instagram, what do you think have worked for you so far? I mean, in terms of strategies when it comes to, promoting art, and how what strategies have worked so far in terms of engagement?
Thing that really helped me a lot was the fact that I knew my strengths. And I am someone that loves to write. I used to write a lot. Many years ago, I actually had a blog, personal
What
blog.
is it? Let's put it in the description box. I would love to read because
I might, but
yeah,
just so you
yeah.
know, it's a mix of different languages because I wrote both in Romanian and in English. I think
Mhm.
predominantly in Romanian. I don't remember exactly because it's been like at least 4 years that I stopped writing in there.
Uh-huh.
But it stopped because if you can look at the timelines, I changed country.
Yeah.
So then all of a sudden my life was moving very fast. I had to adapt to a lot of things,
Mhm.
different culture, different people, and I couldn't really pick apart at my thoughts anymore. I had to take action, and there was less time for introversion, so to say.
Yeah.
Um, and one of the things that I rediscovered through Instagram was the fact that I missed writing. So that's how those captions of mine got longer and longer. And surprisingly, people actually read them, and I'm super thankful for that. But
Mhm.
at the same time, I realized that they actually take time out of their busy days, busy schedules. Maybe they even have, thousand other things to do, and they read my captions, and there must be something in there that they find of value, and it's probably because they themselves identify with the narrative voice behind it.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the struggles that I share on there is the normal struggles that all beginner artists face with.
Mhm.
And the fact that I can express it, I'm really very humbled by the reactions, by the way, but I'm very happy as well that I am able to put one word next to the other and still make sense, because I feel like a lot of people struggle with that.
Mhm.
But this is where this is where you can actually differentiate yourself.
Yeah.
Know your strengths. Maybe you're good with design. Maybe you're good with photography.
Mhm.
Maybe you're good at moderating conversations. Maybe you're super sociable.
Mhm.
Use that to your advantage when you post something. Draw people to that skill of yours that will make you shine. That's what I think can help you a lot.
I absolutely agree with that point, Ali. I think it's one of the. I think it's when you're starting out, right? I'm not sure if it's a general mindset, or if everyone will agree that, when you're starting out, of course you have artists, other artists or people that you look up to, and you try to
Sure, yeah.
imitate or maybe get inspired by their works, their style. And so, for a while you will try to mirror what they were doing. But the danger of being in that phase is you losing your sort of voice,
Yes.
identity, right? And I love when you pointed out that you need to identify your strength, because I think that is really important when you want to niche down, when you want to grow, right? Because at the end of the day, when people consume something online, they, like what you said, when people read your captions, they are resonating with, there's something within the narrative that they say, no, Ali is speaking what I'm feeling. And I think I posted this on the other day. When you give voice to what someone is experiencing, feeling, and maybe secretly holding, that is either healing, or that is sort of having someone that will make you feel seen and heard at the same time. And I think that's powerful. And that's what I've been getting from your captions, Ali.
In regards to imitation, when
Mm.
you see someone that you really look up to or someone that you find very inspiring and they just came up with this new trend or idea
Yeah.
and you would like to put it in action, I would say um, Do it if you feel it's right, but
Mm,
imagine yourself doing that 5 years from now. If that's something that you would feel still comfortable with doing, that might be part of the things
mm,
that define you. So try it, but don't go overboard because you might lose your authenticity, your identity. Also, if you force yourself to do things that are not really comfortable to you, it will show at some point. So if you're an artist and you're introverted, because that happens, huh?
yeah.
Artists do have their own inner world and they prefer to live in it sometimes,
Yeah.
and you force yourself to be super sociable, it can really burn you out. Don't do it unless you feel comfortable with it.
Yeah. That's actually another good point, Ali. So you talk strengths as a point number one. And then
Yes.
when talk about imitation, that's actually true. Point when you said that, you really need to identify your voice, your identity. And because if you try to mirror and push yourself to do something that's not really your strength, it's not really your identity, you're absolutely right. That will burn you out. Um, in your journey, Ali, of and the conversations that you've had in the comments, is there any other thing that stood out for you that you think our other artists are struggling with? We talked about captions and we talk about content, and I'd like to pick your brain onto this one because I write long captions too. And there's always this, I don't know, like weighing scale of which one should you follow? Is it shorter captions or longer captions?
What matters is did the message get across? Because I can write tomorrow a caption that says, I swallowed a bug today, and that's my caption. And if
Yeah.
it makes people, laugh like your reaction right now,
Mhm.
and if they feel good about it, they might want to say back, thank you for that. I needed that moment in my life right now.
That made me stop
It doesn't
scrolling.
matter. The
Yeah.
length does not matter. And I think one of the things that I've noticed in the discussions that I had with people, in the comment section, but also through DMs.
Mm.
We do a lot of chit chat and
Yes.
on one. That those are actually my favorite kind of conversations, by the way, one-on-ones,
Mm.
ones. um, what I noticed is that a lot of people, first of all, they're scared of this algorithm thing. They don't want to, they're afraid to, oh, if I draw something else, or if I paint something else, or if I change the way that the subject of my drawings or the way that I approach it, I might be hurt by the algorithm. But the algorithm is a summation of human interaction. It will eventually adapt to us. And
Mm.
this is where I think a lot of people are scared of experimenting. And especially when you're at the beginning, you should you should try things. You should fail and learn from that if it
Yeah.
doesn't work. I try to do a little bit of that. I actually purposefully do not keep my feed very consistent because I
Mm.
want to show people that I'm
I'm making a point here.
multi-talented,
Yeah.
so to say. No, but that I haven't really found the one thing that makes me go like, this is what I want to draw for the next 3 years. I'm
Yeah.
not there yet, and that's fine. But I know a lot of people that say, I only draw the things that statistically give me the best engagement. And that's a bit of a shame because you're refusing yourself from so many beautiful and just really aha kind of moments by not exploring more. And you don't have to show everything that you're drawing. That's another thing that I think people don't realize. But if you can, I've seen, and one of the people or some of the people that I really appreciate a lot are people that are multi-talented. They don't just paint, they don't just write, they don't just make music.
Mm.
They can also sew or
I don't know.
embroider very well, and they surprise you with these kind of things. Like they do braids like beautifully, or makeup. you
Mm.
know you don't have to be just niching down. I think exploring a bit can help you find more about yourself, which you can then put back into your art and make you mature more as an artist. But that's just how I see things. Maybe others really need a consistent, follow up where you do the same thing over and over till you know, reach a point where you're like, this is my Mona Lisa. I'm gonna stop here and then move on. Maybe, I don't know.
Okay, two things, Ali. So going back to the caption thing, I love the point that you made that it's not about the length. I think you're right that it's about the content, what you were writing about. And what I've learned over the, doing Instagram and creating content, writing captions, that I think I posted this, is that anything that would entertain, inform, educate, those are the things that you should focus on, because when you put your content out there, you're allowing people to consume it. So I guess the question of what is the purpose of your content, right? And how this the people who are consuming it are perceiving it. Like what you said, today I swallowed the bug and that made me laugh. So it's someone was having a really bad day and it was like scrolling, and then I saw your caption. It was like, whoop, I stopped, and then this person swallowed a bug. It's like, and that's so funny. And I mean, it's about the story that you're telling. When we talk about social media, it's social. So you really have to
Mm-hmm.
be social. I like when you said that, sometimes you don't really need to post everything,
Yes.
right?
And I think, again, we reach that point where we need to realize that being an artist and being on social media are two completely different things.
Mhm.
Because, and I'm going to explain why, you need, if you want to use social media to your advantage, let's say you want to sell your artwork,
Yeah.
you have to build a strategy. And unfortunately, strategic thinking will always work best when you couple it with statistics.
Statistics.
So you have to look at that and realize what works best. But the decision on how am I going to implement that is still yours 100%. If you realize that, and I'm going to give myself as an example.
Okay.
The reason why sometimes I introduce those long captions is not because I was thinking about it actively that I want to have long captions and tell a
Mhm.
story today.
Yeah.
It's because I didn't have something better to say about the artwork that I created.
I
So
love that.
instead of
I love the honest
instead
Gabby.
it is true.
Uh-huh.
Instead of saying I just created another wreath of flowers, I said, okay, let's just say let's just talk about something that I know is on everybody's mind. Let's talk about Instagram, because we're all on here. Might as
Yeah.
well
Might as well talk
let's talk
about it.
about stuff that that
Yeah.
that is impacting us, and let's talk about follow to unfollow. Let's talk about I don't know, I don't even remember right now. But just things that were definitely on everybody's mind. How to promote your artwork was one of them that was
Mhm.
very, very
Yeah.
popular, or how to sell your artwork, or why you should sell your artwork. And that's because I realized after I posted that in a few weeks, those were the most popular posts, not the artwork that I told the
So,
story about. Yes,
yeah.
the one where I put my soul into it. It was the one where people actually engaged, and it wasn't because the art was better, so to say,
Mm.
not because it transmitted a different kind of sentiment. Maybe the sentiment was there. It was because it helped them again have that kind of, it clicked with something, you know,
Yeah.
that they wanted to talk about. And that's why they interacted with it, because in the end, engagement is, interest. It's manifested interest. And
Mm.
how do you achieve that is making sure that whatever you are posting is something of interest. I don't know. It sounds a bit silly, but that's the reality.
I personally agree. Because I tend to add personal stories and what I've observed and things that I'd like to talk about, whether it's something that I picked up from the podcast, and it's totally non-related to the artwork that I posted. But interestingly, people read, like what you said. I really appreciate people who are reading the captions and then taking the time to give their thoughts about it. Because it's for me, that's engagement, and for me, that's more important. Um, I think people are in the habit of looking at Instagram as a way to promote themselves, but really,
Hmm.
it's a community. It can be a community if you
Definitely.
want it to, and there are a lot of relationships and interactions that can be meaningful if you really take the time to engage authentically,
Hmm.
right? Meaningfully. So I'd like to touch on what you talked about earlier in one of the conversations they have on Instagram, the follow for unfollow, follow or unfollow.
Yeah.
That's, I think a lot of, I think in one of our conversations with Migs, Migs was actually I had a conversation. We were in the chat room and we were talking about,
Lover. Love
hey,
you, Migs.
hey Migs, if you're listening. So it was like, in the old days, right? If someone stopped talking to you, like in real life, you know, that's like, why does this person just suddenly stop talking to me? And Instagram, if someone just unfollow you or, stop engaging you in your comments, it's like, what happened there? But it's very common, and I don't know why people do that. But based on the conversations that you've gathered from your comment section, what do people talk about when they say follow for unfollow?
So first of all, it's completely okay to unfollow people. I myself do it, and I do it either most of the time it's because I don't like something in their attitude, and sometimes it's just because I grew uninterested in their content, or the account I was following is not posting anymore for more than a few months. So that can happen, definitely.
Yeah.
I think the situation which bothers most people is when you actually create sort of a connection to someone, you have a few chats, they engage with your content or you engage with theirs, and then one day all of a sudden after a month that you haven't really talked, you know that they unfollowed you because they stopped interacting with your work. And you start guessing why, and you start making all these scenarios. And I'm going to say it right now, stop. It does not matter. Now, you can definitely draw some conclusions which you might be able to use. Like if I posted something and a lot of people unfollowed me after that, what was it that I posted that
Mhm.
angered people or made them a bit more aloof towards my content?
Mhm.
So you can definitely go and do that. At the same time, you have to realize that people use Instagram with different purposes in mind. So not everybody is there to build a community. Not everybody is there to have a dialogue.
Mhm.
Not everybody is there to enjoy the gallery of artworks that you're displaying. You have to think about what are their purposes, and you have to accept that. I heard a lot of people going and asking, why did you unfollow me, and having conversations like that.
Yeah.
In the end, and I'm going to say it out loud, Instagram is a tool that people use to promote their product, their end product, their services, themselves, whatever it is, their brand. It's a tool. It's not an end, a purpose in itself.
Mhm.
You have to treat it a bit like that. Um, because the problem is then you get trapped in sort of the how do you call it, negative thinking,
Mhm.
in trying to find what's the reason why this person, I don't
Unfollow.
know,
Yeah.
unfollowed me or blocked me
Mhm.
or so on. But the reality is they were not interested, and that's good, the fact that they unfollowed you,
Mhm.
because thankfully to the algorithm, nowadays if someone is not interested with your content and they don't interact with it, it can really hurt you on the long run. So I know, or I've heard, in fact I heard about people having, for example, fake followers that they
Yes.
bought. I
But
know that's a very sensitive topic, but it's true, it exists.
mhm.
They did it, and in the long term it hurt their growth, because yeah, there is
Because they're not
nobody
involved.
amongst those fake followers that is actually going to buy your artworks if you're an
Mhm.
artist, or buy your services if you're doing something
Mhm.
specifically to support a community, or people around you. So it can really hurt your own growth if you don't let go of those people. That's my opinion.
I think you nailed it, Ali. You know, I saw this article about viewing Instagram as a business tool. People, when you create an Instagram and it's not personal and you publicize this and turn it into a business account, then it's
Hmm.
automatically business. It's a
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, that person who wrote the article said that you have to put, yeah, you have to look at it as a business tool. And you're right. I mean, people, is their prerogative to unfollow and follow people whoever they want based on their interest. I guess.
I actually did it once because the account was, like I said, becoming a bit inactive.
Uh-huh.
And then when the person became active again, and I realized that, I followed them back and I went and I apologized to them for unfollowing them.
No, that's
But
very nice of you, Ali.
it's no, it's your decision how you want to treat this. You can treat it as a normal kind of friendship, that we just got to know each other and go and interact with people the normal way,
Yeah.
or you can just put it in a bin, think about it some other time. But in the end, like you mentioned, Instagram is a business tool and it should be treated as such, because unfortunately there is no in between for us. We can't treat our Instagram accounts just as if this was a tool created for artists. It's not,
Not.
unfortunately.
It's not
I
a.
wish it was, and I heard about other platforms. For example, I heard about Artful. I want to give it a crack one day, but I didn't have the time. That's another thing. There's so many platforms nowadays,
Yeah.
like TikTok and Instagram and YouTube and Pinterest and
And
DeviantArt. There's
all
so
right.
many of them.
There's so many. And yeah, that's actually one other question that I have for you is because I know you just started Etsy to sell your artworks.
Yeah.
And how's the journey so far, Ali, with Etsy?
It's a bit bumpy, especially since I was used to sell my artwork mainly to people that knew me personally,
Mm,
from work or through different interactions.
yeah.
Well, Etsy, you're a bit, I think you lose a bit of your identity when you go on there.
Mhm.
And especially, it can be, it's something that I'm not 100%, my heart is not in it, so to
Mhm.
say. I'm
Mhm.
thinking about doing things differently, but I still wanted to try so that I get the experience of selling artwork
Yeah.
to strangers. Etsy is great at promoting your artwork in circles where you wouldn't have access. And
Mhm.
it's exactly the people that are interested to buy artwork because they're
They're
searching for it.
searching for it. Yeah.
And it will recommend your artwork under someone else's Etsy. That happens.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if someone buys something from there, they're not going to say, oh, I bought it from Pinkartini or from Alexandra. I bought it
But from
from Etsy.
Etsy.
So
Yeah.
you see,
Sure.
there's a bit of ups and downs. I just started. I'm really curious how it's going to go. I actually am looking actively at the sort of statistics behind it,
Mhm.
and I'm working and reworking my pricing sheets.
Mhm.
It's the reality of it. But the Belgian Post, for example, just increased their fees. So of
Ooh,
course I need to protect myself from that.
yeah.
And there's a lot of advice that people give without giving it a second thought because it worked for them. Huh?
Mhm.
That's fine.
Yeah.
But with Etsy and with things like that, you have to make it a bit uh, part of your strategy. But
Mhm.
in my opinion, it's not my long-term strategy to be a 100% Etsy seller. I think
Yeah.
there's other things that I would much rather do, for example, writing,
I would
than
definitely
being on
appreciate
there.
that. Yeah.
But I do see opportunity
Mhm.
with Etsy. So, for example, low-valued items, so things such as prints, stickers,
Yeah.
personalized items. Those can be very useful to have as an asset there. But I'm not. I'm still at the beginning. I'm just trying to sell the original artwork because I'm curious to see how it goes.
Those,
It's
yeah.
not really my bread and butter, so to say.
Yeah.
I will see. I still have a lot to learn. I don't know anything about editing and scanning, so that's something that I will have to learn about. And selling originals, maybe in the future I won't be doing that anymore because I'm starting to see that there's missed opportunities. If, for example, I sold something and I didn't even get the chance to scan it.
About to ask you because you mentioned about platforms earlier, and there are a ton of
Hmm.
platforms, right? And unfortunately, like what you said, Instagram is not really built and created solely for creatives. I mean, for artists, creatives,
Hmm.
yes, but artists, not really. So there's always this challenge, right? But do you think
Hmm.
we should be cross pollinating, meaning we should I mean, to increase engagement, we need to be on different platforms? What do you think, or would you say?
100% yes.
Mhm.
I think yes. But again, it all boils down to what you feel comfortable doing. I'm going to give myself as an example again. I
Okay.
know that reels nowadays, they're very popular and they can
Yes.
really bring more attention to your content. But
Mhm.
I do not know a lot about filming, and I really feel uncomfortable with the idea of putting something that is not top quality. But if you look at it, you have to kind of cherry pick what is there that is for me.
Mhm.
People, for example, have blogs, and I really love blogs. Like I mentioned, I had one, and I hope one day I will revive that tradition of writing almost every day.
Mhm.
A lot of people have YouTube, which I'm a big fan of. I love YouTube as a platform as
Really?
a whole.
Uh-huh.
Yes, it used to be my thing before I was painting. Now I'm spending a lot less time consuming because I never made videos myself.
Uh-huh.
Especially, I loved again very creative videos, usually related to music or painting or drawing and
Mm-mm.
makeup, because those are so abundant on there.
Yeah, a lot, tons. Mhm.
And the beauty about YouTube, I think it allows you to be a bit more loose with what you want to show.
Mm.
You can show a bit more about yourself. I think you have the space to show a little bit more about yourself than what you would on Instagram or TikTok.
Yeah.
But it has to be for you. And if you're just the person of like me, I don't like to show my face a lot on social media. I would not be able to do YouTube, but other people might. And
Yeah,
you
it
should
could be
ask
pretty
yourself,
free. Mhm.
what can I what other platforms can I be on easily? Like there's Tumblr, there's Twitter, there's DeviantArt. Pinterest is something that I'm very comfortable with. I actually created
Really?
I have a lot of Pinterest boards. I was using Pinterest way before I was on Instagram. I
Mhm.
just love it. The ability of capturing something that inspired you so easily without having to do 100 different things and finding it so fast. I love that. I'm very much in love with Pinterest.
I love Pinterest too. I tried creating, because everyone's saying that you should put your things in on Pinterest, and bring them onto Instagram, but I've never really had a chance to really dig into, how to navigate through Pinterest or how to use it to increase traffic or engagement. I just don't have the capacity to really understand how to use it.
I think you mentioned the kind of the keyword to all of this, time.
Oh.
If I had the time, I would definitely try to be on all of them, but I
Mhm.
don't. I have a 9 to 5 job,
Same
which pays
here.
the bills. Art is my hobby. I love doing it, and I don't think I would transition into a situation where I would live off of it.
Uh-huh.
I think I prefer the security of a job over that. And also, they say that find what you love, do what you love, and you never work a day in your life, or something like that. I don't believe that. Work is
Someone just
work. That's
said
why it's called work.
work. True. About time. You mentioned time, and if we really have the time, we can create more, right? And
True.
if creating more would pay the bills, then absolutely, all for it. But I want to talk about, because we touched on content creating earlier, and
Hmm.
it takes time. And when you are, of course, when you say Instagram, it's a business tool, you really have to be consistent. So from, I mean, you said earlier that you don't pay daily, but you engage, I mean, with your DMs, within the comment section. So I want to talk to you about how you manage your time within, when we talk about
Hmm.
engagement. Do you have like a time that you engage with other artists within the community, or is it like any random time of the day? Or do you have to be
um,
specific even to do it?
yeah, definitely you have to. I realize that over time, as kind of the number of people that I was interacting with grew, also my time became more and more yeah, limited. And again, I'm one of those people that doesn't like to put things out there that are not top quality, at least acceptable quality. So I had to become strategic about it.
Mhm.
And that's the reason why I realized with the latest Instagram changes to the algorithm and so on, it's no longer about quantity, it's actually about quality. And you, let's say, you are able to paint something every day and take pictures of it and post it every day, but is it really something that you find sustainable over the next years?
It's true.
I'm not in that category. So again, I start with sort of a handicap when it comes to the realities of working with Instagram as a business tool.
Mhm.
But I realize that I can still be relevant to
Mhm.
my community, even if I'm there once or twice a week. Now, those are the times where I post, where I engage with people actively,
Mhm.
and I enjoy it a lot. A lot of the people that are on that show up on my feed regularly are people I feel very attached to. I know that sounds a bit silly, but it
I
is
think I
true.
know some of those people.
Yes,
Hilarious.
and people like Migs, for example,
Yeah.
or Katerina or Matea,
Hmm.
I really feel like they are close friends, even though I never ever met them. And that's a bit the beauty of Instagram for me, is the
Hmm.
fact that I was able to create that community. Now, there are times where I feel like I need to take a break, because being in front of your screen 24/7, that's also not great. So
Not
I limit
healthy.
myself.
Hmm.
I limit my time a bit. I try to take smart decisions about what am I gonna spend my time on social media today for. Usually I do a bit of planning, especially for content,
Yeah.
just to make sure that I don't fall in the trap of, oh, I wanted to post today, or I just did the collaboration and I just realized that I didn't even take a photo of my artwork.
Oh,
I don't like to be in that situation. So
yeah.
I always plan ahead as much as I can. So, for example, now we're in April. I really
Yeah.
wanted to do something for my birthday, but I was so
No.
tired with work and everything else that happened in March. By
Mhm.
the way, in March we had the Art on Mars art challenge,
I think,
which
yeah,
we
I think
really, really
that, yeah.
enjoyed.
Yeah.
But it was a bit, at the end of it, I felt tired. So I said, not doing anything in April. I'm going to
Mm.
take the time and maybe paint a bit more than I normally do, because that's therapeutic for me.
Yeah.
And then do something in May. And in May, there's Mermay, as everybody knows. And as you mentioned, I love to paint human faces, and I'm trying, but not
Mhm.
forcing myself, to branch out a bit into poses, in full body poses,
Oh, that's
because
pretty
I want to do
scary.
mermaid, but we'll see if it actually works out. I have a few things that I would love to be able to post in May, but you see,
Mhm.
I'm trying to already build kind of a calendar for my Instagram, being
Mm.
a bit more purposeful with my posts. To have an idea of when and what, because if you're gonna post, I don't know, pumpkins in July, that's not really the best moment.
Oh, yeah.
But you
It's
see
true.
what I mean.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. I do agree about time. Planning your content is really. I actually am preparing something for the community about within that sphere about content planning. But I'm still working on the details. But I think it's really important when what you're putting out there is the purpose of having quality content versus posting something for the purpose of for the sake of just posting because you need
Mm-hmm.
to have something on there. And
Mm-hmm.
you know, you're absolutely right. The algorithm has changed and it's more particular on the time that anyone who's looking into your profile, the time that they're spending engaging in,
Mm-hmm.
you know, staying in onto either your post, spending time on DMs and all that. So I know we've talked about several things about Instagram engagement, Ali, and with just that short amount of time, I have a ton of takeaways from you. I mean, this is what I love about conversing with people. I mean, I can definitely tell it from the way you write that you are a great writer, and I would love to read more of your
Thanks.
works. I just love reading and writing as well. But when I see people speaking and writing from authentically, and with substance. I love it. And when I see people engaging with that content, that fuels more my curiosity to learn more about the person who wrote that article or that caption. So thank you, Ali, for taking the time to be with me today's episode. But this is something that I always ask with anyone who's on the show. If there are three things, golden nuggets, I call them, that you would
Golden
like to,
nuggets.
yeah, that you would like to share and then, as an encouragement to our community, especially for artists, right? I mean, Instagram can be like a double-edged sword. It can be your tool, it can be
Yeah.
your foe, when it comes to content creation. But in for the purpose of Instagram engagement, what are the three major takeaways that you would like our listeners or people who will be watching this to take away from this episode?
Three golden nuggets, you said.
Yeah, just three golden nuggets.
Okay. So I guess the first one should be always be yourself and only copy what others are doing if you feel it makes sense for you on the long run. And I'm not talking about copying artwork. I'm talking about copying Instagram strategies. Copying artwork is a big no-no, guys.
Definitely no, no, no.
Unless it's for study. Of course, learning is always the excuse.
Mhm.
Then try to play on your strengths, discover them if you don't know them. This is a good opportunity to spend some time with yourself and say, hey, if I was being put with 10 other people in a sort of situation where we had to race for the same thing, what skills of mine would I use in order to overcome and you know win the competition, so to say. We're not really in a competition situation because I don't think artists are really competing for the same spotlight, just my opinion.
Yeah.
But just find the things that differentiate you from others and implement them somehow in your work. If you're a good storyteller, if you're someone that loves to interact with other people and you're sort of a social animal, use that to your advantage and you will thank me later.
I'm thanking you right now, Ali.
And the last one, which I think is the most important, is adapt. Adapt as much as you can, experiment as much as you can, because on the long run, that's the only thing that is going to help you with engagement, because the Instagram algorithm is going to continue changing. Instagram is a company that is going to look at ways to make more money.
Okay.
Might as well accept that
Mhm.
and go with the flow once the flow changes.
That's true. Thank you. Those are three wonderful takeaways, Ali. And
Thank you.
again, it's been a pleasure talking to
Really was a
you.
pleasure. I really love what you are doing, by the way. I really appreciate this.
Thank you.
And I will spend more time listening to the podcasts while I'm, being creative in my little studio.
Thank you, Ali. And please do continue to do more of your writings. I would love to please post it. Send me the link and I'll put it on the description box. But again, Ali, thank you for your time. I know that, there are a lot of things that you're doing, but you took the time to really talk with me and share your insights. I know a lot of people would want to learn from you and hear from this conversation. I can absolutely tell that people are going to love this episode because there's just a ton of, goodies. And so if you're listening, guys, please take out your notes, grab some tea or coffee. Ali shared some wonderful thoughts and insights that you guys can definitely use, whether an Instagram strategy or basically just engaging with other people within the community. So, Ali, thank you again for being on the show. And I hope to see more of your works. I look forward to that posts that you're planning to do in May. And your Etsy shop, I'm going to include that in the link as well. If you want to share what you've been posting on Etsy, please do so.
On Etsy is mainly works that I did within the first months of confinement. So it's mainly things that relax me, which are floral wreaths.
Oh,
I
okay.
do find something very, very therapeutic in painting flowers, especially in a motion like that, where everything is a bit symmetrical.
Sure, true. So they can find you in Etsy. The name of the shop is Pink Artini as well.
Yes. That's the beauty of being able to change my name is I try to keep it consistent. So I actually reserve the name on everything possible.
Okay, that is great. Again, Ali, thank you for your time. I won't keep you, and have a great rest of the day. I will see you on the feed. I will talk to you via DM, but thanks again for joining
It
me.
was really a pleasure and an honor. And I hope one day we'll be able to do the reverse where you talk about yourself and your strategies. And
Definitely.
we listen and we learn.
Thank you, Ali. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you again soon. Thank
Thank you,
you.
Jesse.
All
Bye,
right.
everybody. Bye
Bye.
bye.